Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan Gheesling and welcome to another episode of the Dan Gheesling Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, whether you're driving to and from on your local bus stop, pedaling your bike to your last class of the semester, or maybe you're dialed in your cubicle with your earpieces in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Super excited to be here today. Literally just flew in, drove right to the office. I'm like, yo, let's do this podcast. Let's fire it up. I'm super excited to be here. It's an interesting podcast. I'm going to talk a little bit about some fourth wall breaking stuff, about how I wrote myself a note late at night. We're going to talk about that, but I just want to thank you guys so much for all the love, on the podcast, on the videos on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. Things are going really well. And, anytime any message I get from you guys with feedback, it means a lot. And so I want to thank you guys before we jump in. But I want to jump in right away, give you an update as to what the heck's been going on, what's been done, what's been learned, what has been done right, and what is has not worked out. But nonetheless, it's been a hectic week, and I knew it was going to be a hectic week. And most of the time when I say hectic, it's not really that bad. But I knew that, I had an opportunity to go on a trip, quick trip with a couple family members and some fourth wall breaking stuff. Just really quick, I have a family member who's sick, and so just kind of put a couple things in perspective. I'm saying, I told this to one of my buddies. I think I told it to Ryan off camera. I'm saying yes a lot more to doing things, just because a little bit of a perspective shift. Having someone, a family member that's sick and that is unable to kind of do things based on that, it's definitely a perspective shift, and we want to take advantage of the time that you have with your health. So, and on the people, maybe older people in your life that are healthy, you want to, for me, I'm trying to take advantage of the time that I do have with those people, and saying yes to a lot more things. That's something I've been focused on definitely in the past month and a half. So with that being said, in relation to what we do, by taking a couple day trip, I left Thursday night and got home Sunday morning, which is right now. And so that means, I had to have a bunch of videos backlogged. Also, that meant I was going to miss a Friday stream. And so if this is your first podcast, or if this is not your first podcast, you know how much pride I put into our stream schedule, and that I will never cancel a show unless it's an absolute, a huge emergency. So what I did this past week was I moved the Friday show to Thursday, because I knew that I wasn't going to be in town on Friday. And also, I normally on Thursdays is when I record with Mathis and Ryan. So kind of had to front load all that. Started the stream early just so I could knock everything out all out at once, and it worked. But basically, you got to front load your week to get a bunch of videos done, especially now that we're doing more creative content in regards to Tarkov on the channel. So I had a front load. I think I did 4 Tarkov videos in one day, which normally is not an issue, but having to do really kind of creative or different things, it wasn't an issue, just very different. So bottom line, it led to a string of 2 a.m. nights, which for me, I know for a fact does not work. Yeah, it's in terms of how I operate, staying up that late and then, having to reload the next day fairly early just doesn't work. But bottom line, it is what it is. I had to do it. So what I did when I got home kind of late. It was like 2 a.m. because I do all my recordings in my office where I have my real life business. I have a room in there it's my designated studio. And when I got home, and I'd never done this before, but I got home and I was kind of, I felt like an orange that was squeezed and there was nothing this is probably like, I don't know, the third or fourth, might have been the third 2 a.m. night in a row. And I just know I don't function well like that. And so I wrote myself a note on the kitchen counter. I'm like, Dan, it's okay to take the foot off the gas on YouTube, which sounds contradictory to what we've been talking about a lot on the podcast. But at the time now, like there's going to be moments of ebb and flow. There's going to be moments when it's like, yo, you got to put the pedal to the metal. And there's going to be moments where it's like, hey, look, you put the pedal to the metal, it's not the right time. You're gonna gas out. The stuff you're gonna be creating isn't gonna be that good. And so I think there's a time for it. And for me, it was just, I wrote that note to be like, one, as a reminder when I got up the next morning, because the next morning I could be on a full reload and reset and not feel that way, but and be like, oh, I can do another 2 a.m. But I know internally that's not sustainable, especially for everything that, to do things on a high quality level. So I wrote that in, and that's the first time I'd done that, and I'm really kind of taking that to heart. And so essentially what that translated to, instead of, oh, damn, just taking it easy, it's, what that meant physically. It meant there's 2 videos coming out every single day on the YouTube channel. And I'm like, hey, look, these Tarkov videos have taken priority. And so I'm going to miss a few days of the baseball series. And the baseball series is going really well. I'm having a lot of fun. And I don't want to say it didn't bother me. It bothered me to not do the baseball videos this week. But at the same time, like, I had to do it. I had to be okay with it bothering me. And then just say, hey, look, this week it's going to be a little light on the second videos. But, once we get back and rolling, they'll be fired back up. And I think it's okay to do that for a couple reasons. For one, number one, I had to get to the point where I'm like, okay, look, you got to figure something out here. Like, you can't keep pushing like this. Otherwise, things are going to start to fall off. I don't want that to happen. But I think what was most important is that sometimes, you got to adjust. And for me, the adjustment isn't like a month of not doing 2 videos. It's going to be a few days. Is it going to kill momentum? Is it going to be the end of the world? No. But I got to talk myself through that because I'm so heck bent. I mean, 2 videos every day, 2 videos every day. And I know people expect that. But I think the most important thing about it for me, outside of being like super hard on myself, is just to communicate it and move forward. So in the baseball video, I did get done before I went on the show. I'm like, hey, look, here's the situation. You can expect a new baseball video on Monday, and then we'll pick things up from there. So I think that's really important, is to not just kind of make that decision without communicating it to the people or the audience that does watch the videos. Because that's the most important thing to me, is if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And, so to have to adjust, I think that's part of it. And kind of the hardest part for me was just wrapping my head around being okay with that. But it's kind of one of those situations. I don't want to say where I don't have a choice, because I definitely have a choice. But it's the right choice to continue to move forward and keep things. I don't want to say necessarily in balance, but keep things in a way that's going to be functional and keeps things going in a way that's not going to result in burnout. And so I'm super fired up to get started and redoing the baseball videos and pushing the envelope in that regards. Outside of that, something interesting, outside of that, the other thing that was part of the 2 a.m. nights is that I'm doing some stuff for Game Tune again. We're doing a series on Metro Exodus. So, that's kind of in the mix too. So it's not just YouTube and not just Twitch that I'm doing. There's always a lot of other stuff going on, and sometimes I don't always talk about it, but just that always adds more to the workload, which is fine, and I'm happy to do it. But just managing that, something's got to give. So outside of that, something interesting happened. I had an interesting request over the past, it's probably got it 3 weeks ago. I got a Discord DM, and if you're unfamiliar with what Discord is, it's a chat program where you can communicate with a bunch of people and have different chat rooms. But it just makes it and with a lot of voice channels, it makes it a really easy place to communicate with a lot of people. So I really like it. And, especially for our community, if you're not a part of our Discord, go to discord.gg/Dan Gheesling or dangeesling.com/Discord. Both work. If you're not a part of it, it's a great place to hang out with the community, get to see why I'm so fired up about the community, because there's so many nice people there. There's always something going on, people playing something together, or, talking about something interesting. I really enjoy it. So I got a DM through there, and it said, hey, Dan, I'm working on a custom Fallout. I believe it's a Fallout New Vegas mod. And essentially, if you're unfamiliar with what the mod is, there are different communities of people that create add-ons to games, right? So if you beat the initial game, then they're like, hey, I'm going to make a chapter 7. So someone will develop a chapter 7. You can add it onto the game and play through someone's custom story or custom level, things of that nature. So someone had sent me a message and said, hey, Dan, I'd like you to be in this custom mod for the game. Will you read some of these lines in an audio file and send it over? And I'm like, sure, no problem, of course. And, the one thing I asked is said, hey, just send it to me with, what you want. And a bunch of bullet points so I can knock it all out at once. So it's about 3 weeks ago, and I'm always I don't want to say more apt to do something if someone's persistent, but it's like, hey, sometimes someone just needs to ping me once, twice, or sometimes 3 times, especially in Discord, and then I do it. But if I tell someone I'm going to do it, 100% I'm going to do it. So I said yes like 3 weeks ago, and then they must have sent me the file a day or two later, and I missed it. So they're like, hey, I just wanted to follow up on this. You said you'd do it, and it was just they hit me up this, like, I want to say like 5 or 10 minutes after I'd finished the maybe Thursday stream or Wednesday stream. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. And so I literally, it was probably like a page and a half of single bullet point lines of just reading, different lines of a story that this person wrote that fits in this custom story within the game Fallout New Vegas. So it took me probably all of like 2, maybe 3 minutes to record. And I'll always do something like that. And there's a bunch of reasons why. So the first reason, it's same reason why for the majority of the times I always say yes, as long as I know a couple things. 1, they're serious about it, meaning that it's something they want to produce, something they're passionate about. 2, there's some persistence. And 3, that they're not selling it. And so the reason why I said, hey, yeah, 100% I will do this, but this is gonna, I didn't say I hope, I said, is this going to be a free mod? There's no way it's going to be sold. So there's 2 reasons why I don't want, if I ever do something like this, I just like to do it for that person and not for money. Number 1, I don't ever want to get paid for something like that. And 2, I don't want them to sell it because I don't want, if someone's selling something with my name attached to it, like, number 1, someone's going to be assuming I'm getting some kickback from that. And for a custom mod to be sold is not traditional. So for example, say this person sold this without my permission, I'd be like, yo, that's not what I agreed to. I would never charge someone for a custom mod. It's just out of the realm of how that environment works. And 2, it's like a fan project. So I don't know. I don't feel good about ever selling my likeness in that way for a project like that. And so I'm always happy to do it with kind of that stipulation. 1, that the person's like actually, working on it and taking some pride in it. And 2, it's not being sold for money. So that was cool. And so the reasons to say, well, Dan, why would you do that? Not why would I ask them not to sell for money, but why would I even record the audio in the first place? There's a couple reasons. 1, I'm super appreciative that someone would even think to ask me, like, hey, look, I wrote this custom mod and I had you in mind for this character. Like, that's pretty awesome. I don't want to say flattered is not the term, but I'm like, yo, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Thanks for thinking of me. So that's number 1. Number 2, doing stuff like that shows that I care. And the reason is because I do. I could easily just, I don't want to say easily, but it's not my nature. I could easily just not have responded or said no, but that's not in my nature. If someone takes the time to want to put that together, it's the least I can do to try and help them. The other thing, selfishly, it's definitely like a goodwill builder. Like, I feel good about doing it. That person, I'm sure, felt like good that I said yes. And then ultimately, like, when you do stuff like that, just kind of, and this isn't a reason for doing it, it's kind of like a tertiary reason, like, just good stuff happens. If you help someone with something, it kind of comes around. And I always feel like, even on another micro selfish level, stuff like that, like something like that, I know is going to be shared. And so whether someone may be playing Fallout New Vegas and looks in and be like, hey, who is that guy? Oh, I recognize the voice or whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's just a win-win-win situation. And so I'm always apt to do something like that. It may take me a while to respond or to actually do it, but I'm more of always yes, unless it's like something really kind of shady, which normally I'm pretty good at kind of picking up on that. And it's the same thing. I do a lot of stuff like that, and I don't really talk about it too much, but whether someone needs some questions answered for a school essay or whatever, I'm fired up that people think enough to want to ask me to do these things, because I look at everything that I get to do as very grateful and a privilege. And it's not something, everyone gets to do, or that everyone would care to have me in, their custom mod or whatever. So I wanted to bring that up because it's kind of like that yes mentality of how I approach things. And there's always, there's always to be opportunities for you to do things, whether it's YouTube or whatever realm you're in. And it's kind of like going, I don't want to say going the extra mile, but doing things a lot of people may or may not do for whatever reason. And to me, if we're looking at like dollar for dollar, pound for pound, in actuality, it took me probably less than 5 minutes. Now, you can judge the quality of my voice acting work yourself, but I it's not like I fluffed it off. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do my best. Let's crank these out. And I learned in the process too. It was cool. I got posted on the subreddit, and there's some funny feedback, but there was a really like critical piece on, hey Dan, this, if this is how you're gonna voice act, you may want to do this or this, and I appreciate that. And the next time, or if that ever happens again, now I have a different perspective, and I can do a better job even the next time. So like I said, it's just a win-win situation, and super grateful. I don't have the name of that mod, otherwise I'd share it with you guys, but I'm sure someone will post it on either Discord or the subreddit at reddit.com/r/Dan Gheesling when it's done, so you guys can check it out. The other thing that's been interesting that's been going on is Channel 2. So there's this app, I think it's called Social Blade. You can download it for either, Apple or Android or whatever. And essentially what you can do, you can monitor your social feeds. And your YouTube subscribers and views and Twitch followers. And it's not something I'm super attached to. Like, I don't check it obsessively. I don't check it like 100 times a day, but I do check it probably once a day just to see how things are going. And on the Social Blade app, it tells you on YouTube, it tells you your subscribers and views, and Twitch, it tells you your followers and views. And so I have the 2 YouTube channels, so youtube.com/Dan Gheesling, where the exclusive content comes out in, and it tells me, all right, how many subscribers per day. And then the second YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dan Gheesling plays, which is where all the Twitch VODs are. And things have been going really well on channel 1, the exclusive content, but things have really been like almost doubled on the VOD channel. And it's one of those things where I was talking to Zane, the editor, and he's like, hey, look at what's going on this channel. And it's one of those things where I don't necessarily have a reason for, for comparison, I would say kind of during that Tarkov run, there's probably like 50 to 100 new subscribers a day. When I talked about this Tarkov wave last week, things are going really well on the channel, which is a lot for our channel. And then I look over on channel 2, and it's like there's 100 subscribers every day coming to the channel on the new channel, and that's VOD content. And it's really hard. It's when you're on this side of things, when you're creating content, it's really hard to pinpoint a reason or why something is happening. It's not always like a 1-for-1 situation. Oh, like you did X and then Y happens. And so it's kind of one of those things where you scratch your head and be like, okay, maybe people are finding the new Tarkov videos that are a little bit, I don't want to say, that are drawing some attention, and then finding the Twitch VODs when they're searching. I don't know. Maybe I'm promoting channel 2 more on Twitch. I'm not cross promoting the 2 channels. So I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know if it's YouTube's algorithm, but it's just good stuff. I think we crossed we're close to 6,000 subscribers on channel 2, and the views are doing well. I think also having Team Unity Tarkov VODs in there have helped, but I think it's just one of those things where you just, you just keep your head down, and almost to build on last week, you just keep swinging, and just eventually the stuff starts to add up and something clicks and you go on a little run, and the whole point of channel 2 when I started is just to make it easy for people to watch Twitch VODs. It was never to kind of like hit another run on this, but that's kind of what's happening. It's just growing, and it's all good. So, but it's just, I always find it's when things go well, you can't always pinpoint it to one thing, but I think what I can have like solace in thinking about it is I think it's just a matter of you just keep doing what you believe to be the right actions, and eventually the results will catch up. Meaning that's why I don't stress about like YouTube views or subscribers, and that's not my main focus, because my main focus is what is my output? What am I doing that I know over time will lead to essentially winning, or what I'm trying to get done. So I focus just more on the action and not the result over an extended period of time. And that's been pretty successful in a lot of things. But I think one of the things that's hard to do in that regard, and it's hard for people to do in that regard, is just to be patient, right? So whether someone comes in the Twitch channel and spams, "Hey, come watch my show," I always like, kind of tongue in cheek, but I always want to help that person, because it's like, yo, if you think that's what's gonna work, it's not. It's like, you got to do this for a long, extended period of time. You have to be consistent and keep going at it, and it just doesn't happen overnight. And I think this is another example of that. And I don't say that to be self-aggrandizing. I say that to share that with you, that I just am a firm believer, if you keep your head down and you just keep working on it and not giving up, eventually it pays off. It may not pay off in the way that you expect it to, or as big as you hope, or whatever, but it always will, because just by the act of doing one thing over and over again, naturally you're going to get a lot better at it. So outside of that, Twitch has also been going really well. I'm really fired up about the games they're playing. Tarkov is a lot of fun. Enter the Gungeon is a lot of fun. And also this past week, I tried a new game. It's probably the first time I've tried a new game in a couple months. And, I played a game called Void Bastards. It's a first-person FPS roguelike. And I've had it downloaded. They sent me a key. I've been wanting to try it for a week. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try it on the show and see what happens. Kind of one of those, I guess, internal things that I work with. Is one of the internal models I have is sometimes you just got to, try something and see if it works. And I was, the game itself, I think would be fun to play off camera, but it just really wasn't a good fit for our show in terms of the action and things going on. However, so you can say, oh, that was a failure. It wasn't a failure in that regard. It was, I know I won't play the game on the show again. However, what I found to be really intriguing and really interesting was the response of the live audience saying, I said, hey, would you guys like to see more games like this in the future? Meaning like trying something new every now and then, which is very different from the show. Normally the show's 2 games and people know what game it's going to be, or have an idea when we change games, hey, this is what's going to happen. But to be able to try out a new game just to explore it and show it off to the community and see if it's a good fit, I was really surprised. So it was kind of an overwhelming response that people did enjoy it. And I don't know why I didn't expect that, but I didn't expect it. So that was kind of a nice thing that was learned by just trying something completely different. And, so I appreciate, like I said, if the feedback was negative, then I'd be sitting here saying, hey, look, that's something I'm not going to try again, at least for a while, just to try a brand new game out of nowhere. But it worked well. So that's now my radar's up, where it's like, okay, hey, look, if I see something that could be a nice fit for like a one try on the show, I'm going to do that. And the last thing going on this week that I'm going to be focused on is adding at least one, maybe 2 or a couple Twitch moderators. And for people that are unfamiliar, Twitch, there's a live audience going on, there's a live chat, and you have to have, especially for how we run things, you have to have moderators that are super dialed in, that understand what the cadence or what is expected of the community. And in our case, we keep it very friendly and very clean. And so when the channel has been growing, and with that, you gotta add moderators with that, because sometimes it can be a lot. And so, moderators are do it out of, they don't get paid. They do it to help out. And so I'm always understanding, if moderators that are part of the team that can't be there, they have to work, whatever, I get it. But I'm looking to add a few. And the number one thing I look for in doing this is, and when someone gets on my radar, is how they interact with people in the community, in the chat. And And I look at that over time. It's not like, oh, now the next on Monday I'm just really going to be looking at chat and being, okay, who could make a good moderator. I already have a list in my head of people like, hey, this is someone that's gone out of their way, or that I always see. Someone comes in, a random person asks a question in the channel, and they're always one of the first people to answer, or they're generally kind to people, or helpful, or positive. That's what I look for. And when I see kind of that come to fruition, and then in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's time to add someone, then I'll reach out to that person. And when I do that, I always do it on a temporary basis, usually like a 7-day basis, for a couple reasons. One, I reach out like, hey, number one, do you want to do this? Because things definitely change for that person on a couple levels. It's just, things change when it is what it is. When someone becomes a new moderator on the channel, it changes for that person in a lot of different ways. That maybe at some point, we'll bring on the moderators on a podcast, because I'm sure they deal with a lot of stuff that even I don't understand. But number one, I always do it as for like a test week. Number one, to see if they like doing it, because some people, it may not be a good fit. Some people like to just come and hang out and not feel like, hey, I have to regulate this or monitor this or whatever, or even feel the pressure. So number one, if they don't like it after 7 days, I don't ever want them to feel like, hey, like I picked you or whatever, so you have to do this. Not that anyone would ever feel that, but it kind of makes it easier to like check in after 7 days and be like, yo, did it work for you? If so, cool, keep it going. If not, cool, no big deal. Please, continue to hang out in the capacity you want to. And the second reason is that if I don't think it's a good fit, so someone may change after that, they're a temporary moderator, or they get the green badge, and so I like to have that ability to be like, hey, look, this is a 7-day trial. It did or it didn't work out. Here's what we would do different. And so it makes it a little less awkward, and just gives you, all right, here's the check-in point. We'll both evaluate it. 1, did you like it? 2, did I think it was a good fit? And then, because that's a big thing. When I do something like that, I just don't ever want to alienate someone by either giving them an opportunity and they don't like it, or vice versa. They get a chance to do that, and then I'm like, I'd prefer you not. So it's kind of like that weird thing. But I think most of the time, the people I've selected have usually worked out, because it's just kind of a general vibe and feel of people who get where the show's going and how the community is, and so it's always funny, because to me it's almost like the moderators choose themselves. You could probably, if you hang out in the community, you could be like, hey, this person is probably going to become a moderator at some point. It's just a matter of when, because you just notice the people that stand out and are helpful. And I think that's the thing, the good thing and fun thing about Twitch is that there's some people that love to do that, and some people like to chill and just relax. And I feel like and I think this gives me an idea for a future show, but I'd love to really talk to all the moderators at once, and I do, like, where there's a separate moderator room and I check in on them and stuff like that, and really just see how things have changed for them within the community when that happens, because I don't have an answer to that. I know it changes, I don't exactly know how. I have some ideas, but anyways, nonetheless, it's been an interesting week. Super excited for this upcoming week of shows and stuff going on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys. I got a bunch of DMs on Instagram, and some of them, because sometimes I'll just start rattling stuff off in the podcast, and I don't want to say I forget what I say, but sometimes it takes me a minute to get reminded of them. But I got a bunch of DMs that just said podcast smiley face. So if you sent me one of those, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Instagram.com/Dan Gheesling. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast, and I will see you guys next Monday for another fresh one. Have a great week. Later, guys.